Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I'm Jessica Flynn and I am the owner and maker of Flynn Sisters Boutique. And today we're going to be doing a fun video on this cute fall inspired design. This video will be more of like an inspiration kind of video rather than a tutorial, just because we've already gone over a lot of these looks or like techniques before. So also, if you guys want to use the same Wild About Fall design that I created on my cup, you can find it for free in the file section of my group on Facebook. That's the Flynn Sisters community group. It's in the file section there. You can find a link for my group down below in the description box. You'll also find links to most, if not all, of the products used in this video, along with a few discount codes as well. All right, you guys, so that's enough chit chat for me. Let's go ahead and get started. Alright, so we're going to start by properly prepping our cup. I'm using my favorite Final Stand product and a maroon scouring pad to clean up my cup. This is a one-step prep process. It's going to properly scuff up the surface along with some detergent that will wash away any surface oils. And this is going to ensure that our paint and epoxy and everything adheres to the cup properly. I just pulled this clip from a video I did about a week ago, and you guys can see just how nicely this product is going to prep the surface of our cup really quickly and easily. So we're going to dry that off really well, and then I went ahead and sprayed my cup with a matte white spray paint. This is just a flat white spray paint from Rust-Oleum. Once that's dry, I'm going to use my Arteza acrylic paints. We are using Royal Pearl Purple and Pearl Copper Gold. I love these acrylic paints. Now, you do not have to put your base colors down with acrylic paint. It's just something I like to do. I like the richness that it gives my glitter, and I also like that I don't have to stress out about coverage on my glitter. You can totally skip this step. You definitely do not need to prep your cup with acrylic paint. I just enjoy doing it this way, and it's kind of easier with a design like this to hand paint the base colors instead of spray painting them. So I'm just using a regular cheap old brush, and I'm painting the center of my cup with this Pearl Copper Gold. And I definitely want to focus my efforts around that handle. If there's anywhere on this cup that I will get poor coverage, it will be on the handle. So I want to make sure that that is painted really nicely, because if I do have any kind of like sparse glitter areas, this is going to help with that. So definitely make sure that you paint the handle nicely if you are going to base paint your colors. So this paint dries really quickly. Once I got all the copper gold on there, I moved right into that purple color, and I'm going to apply the purple color just on the top and bottom edges around my cup. What we're creating is kind of like I don't know if you call it a double ombre, or I have no idea what you would call this type of glittering pattern, but whatever. So yeah, we're just gonna apply the purple to the top and bottom edges. Do not worry about blending. This does not have to be perfect. We are going to be totally covering it up with some glitter, so don't worry about it. Now, actually, I painted this all purple, and I realized I didn't like the coverage of the purple or the color in comparison to the glitter I was using. So I ended up using a third color over this purple. I used this I think it's called the Pearl Magenta. It's from the same paint pack. I will have a link for this paint pack down below in the description box, along with a 10% off discount code for you guys. So here I am just putting that pink paint right over the purple. Again, you guys, like this is totally extra, but whatever. I also got thumbprints in my paint, so just ignore that. Anyway, once you get this all painted up, we're gonna let it fully dry. Again, this acrylic paint dries super fast, and my garage was really warm, so this was ready to go in about 15 minutes of dry time. We're going to be using epoxy method to apply our glitter, so I just mixed 5 milliliters of epoxy in a small medicine cup. That's 2.5 milliliters of each part. So 2.5 milliliters of part A and 2.5 milliliters of part B. And we are going to use less than 1 milliliter total of epoxy to apply our glitter. When you guys are working with these handle mugs, you're going to want to pay extra close attention to the epoxy that you apply around the handle. Make sure you get all sides. Really put a lot of attention into that. After our epoxy has set for about 2 to 3 minutes, we're going to go ahead and apply our glitter. For the bottom, I'm just using 2009. It's a gorgeous, I think it's like a 0.015 fuchsia purple. And after I got pretty good coverage on the bottom, I'm also going to dump it in a pile of glitter on my parchment paper here. And then to create our fade, I will go around the bottom edge first with the cup at an angle, and with about a foot of distance between my shaker and the cup, I'm going to just lightly sprinkle around the bottom. As with all of my glittering techniques, I first will lay a rough draft of glitter down, meaning I will put a very light amount of coverage while I'm building my fades. You'll see I am actually going to full coverage this top rim here, but then when I angle the cup down, you'll see that I'm just very, very lightly sprinkling. Now I'm going to go in with this color Vintage. It is the most gorgeous, like copper gold, I don't know what to call it. It's like this orange copper gorgeous color. Also from PT Olive Glitters, of course. And we're going to again do some pretty light coverage. So I'm going to point the cup down and fade out the bottom, aiming towards the middle of the cup. So you're going to sprinkle with your aim towards the middle and let it fall towards the bottom. And then we'll do the same towards the top. So you'll flip your cup upwards and aim towards the middle and let it fall into the bottom. Notice I am putting some extra special attention around this handle to make sure I've covered all angles. Take your time with that. I did not put full coverage on this Vintage color yet. I'm still laying my rough draft. Once I've got all my colors laid out kind of how I want them, I'm going to go in with this finer color. This is Hamilton. It's the exact same color of 2009. It's just a finer cut. This is a 0.008 cut, and I like to use finer cuts to help me blend the colors. So now you'll see that that purple line has kind of moved down further into the copper, but it's not full coverage yet. Next, I'm going to go in again with Vintage, and this time, since we have our colors laid out pretty much how we want, I'm going to fully let it rip. First though, before I let it rip, I'm going to tap off the excess, because when I pour a ton of glitter on this, I don't want to get a bunch of purple glitter into my Vintage. So I am just pouring Vintage on a ton. I'm just dumping it all over the cup. And what this is doing is filling in any areas that we might have left exposed with the epoxy. And it's going to create a really beautiful blend along that top and bottom line. Look at how gorgeous. These colors are stunning together. I love the contrast of the purple and copper. And so after I let it rip with the Vintage, I'm going to do the same one more time with Hamilton in 2009, and then we'll be done. You'll want to let this dry for at least 2 to 3 hours before we move into our spots. But before I sit down to let it dry, I forgot to mention, you also want to take a little parchment paper and you want to push down the glitter that you have on this handle. This is going to help you epoxy the handle later on. These handles can be such a pain in the butt and really I don't have a magic trick to make them super easy, but if you really make an effort from the start to keep it as like flat and drama free from the get-go, then you're going to have an easier time later on. I'm also going to lightly press down my glitter all the way around the cup. This isn't really a necessary step, but it also will make my life easier. I don't like to press my glitter down too much because I do like to have a little bit of depth and texture to my glitter through the epoxy. So I don't really push it down too much. All right, so after our glitter is fully dry, we are going to move into the spots. So the spots, I'm going to use Mod Podge, just regular old Mod Podge, and I'm going to use a little bit of black acrylic paint. Doesn't really matter what black acrylic paint that you're using for this one. I just happen to be using my Arteza acrylic paint. And you're just going to mix about a 2-to-1 ratio, so like 2 parts glue to 1 part paint. And then you'll just mix it up really well. And I'm going to hand paint my spots on, and normally I would paint a colored rosette first in the middle of the spot and then do the black C-shape thing around it. But for this design, I am just going to do the black C-shape for my spots. Makes things a lot easier, and I think it just works for this particular design. I'm using Hallow from Peachy Olive Glitters for my spots, and I like to use a small angled eyeliner brush for my spots. I've been using the same one for a really long time, and I'm super stubborn about getting a new one. When you're painting on your spots, you're just going to pounce your paint. You don't want to actually make brush strokes. You just pounce your brush really carefully. It might help if you guys have like a printed out reference for spacing your spots and how to shape them. You want to have some variations in your spots as well, like some of them will be a total C shape, some of them will be more of like a V, some of them will have a spot, some of them will just be a spot. So you want to have like a few different variations in your mind when you're going to paint these. Also, try not to be a perfectionist and think about this too much, because I don't know about you, but when I do that, it doesn't end well. So just free your mind, relax, and have a good time with this. I only paint about 5 spots on at a time, and then I will put my glitter on and tap off the excess with a pair of scissors. And we're going to repeat this all the way around the cup until I have all my spots filled in. Okay, and then once I have that done, I let it dry for about a half hour or so, and then I went in and I did a second coat. This time I did it with an all black glitter instead of a glitter like Hallow's that had a bunch of different colors to it. The black glitter that I'm doing for the second coat is Batman. In hindsight, I would have just mixed Hallow's with Batman together to get kind of this darker look that I really wanted. I just noticed that after I put the spots on with just Hallow, it looked too busy. I didn't like the look of it. So I added that just all black glitter in the second coat, and I thought it looked great. Normally I would never do a second coat for spots, but I don't know, I didn't like how it was looking. So anyway, I let that dry for at least an hour. I tapped off the excess, and then I went in with this brush and just lightly brushed off all the spots in between my spots. If you guys are having a hard time getting your black glitter out from the areas that shouldn't have black glitter, Then you can try using like an air compressor to blow it out, computer cleaner air or something. And if you're still having a hard time, you may want to consider like maybe your glitter wasn't flat enough at the bottom, like your copper glitter was all poking up and it's getting a bunch of that black glitter stuck in there. Or perhaps your epoxy wasn't all the way dry when you went in to do these black spots. That could be part of the reason why you're getting that glitter stuck in there. I don't know, I never have a problem with it. So I hope maybe some of those tips are helpful if you do have a problem with it. Anyway, I'm just removing all the excess black glitter from all the way around my cup. Really take your time with this to make sure that you've got all the black glitter out from where it's not supposed to be. And then once everything's cleaned up and looking great, you're going to take your clear spray paint sealer to seal up these spots. I prefer Rust-Oleum 2x clear gloss. 1 or 2 coats is fine, and then I let that dry for at least a half hour, and then I will go into my coats of epoxy. For this design, I did 2 coats of epoxy and I did some regular sanding, and I was ready for my decal. The decal that I'm putting on here I already had cut, both the original shape and the offset. You can find both of them in my group on Facebook. There's a link down below. They are located in the files section and they are totally free for you to use. Once I've got my decal all layered, I just remove that paper backing sheet to loosen the decal from the transfer sheet to make it easier on me when I go to put it on my cup. You'll notice that my cup's already been sanded and cleaned up, and I'm just going to position my decal how I want it. And I did end up clipping part of my transfer tape around the word fall to help me run my decal around the curve of the cup. Some of these kind of like curved style of cups are a little more difficult to work with. Luckily, the decal that we're putting on here today is pretty forgiving around these kind of curves. So if you'll notice here, I'm just lifting it up, and then I'm going to take my scissors and trim part of that transfer tape to help me kind of move that fall word down around straight at the curve there. So we're just pulling tightly and pressing firmly, and then we'll do the same for the top part of our decal. All right, and so one thing to try and remember when you're removing this transfer tape is to peel it back as close to the cup as possible. That's going to help with air bubbles in your decal. It's not going to pull up that decal, creating bubbles. I'm using Quick Coat to seal my decal. This is a water-based urethane sealer from Counterculture. I will put a link below down in the description box if you guys want to get this stuff. I use it on almost every single one of my cups. You don't have to seal your decals. You absolutely don't have to. But I always regret when I don't, because sometimes my epoxy will pull up or whatever. This is also going to help me get a drama-free final coat. You can use a like clear acrylic spray paint to do the same. You can use polyacrylic from Minwax. I would prefer the gloss one. It's in that little green can. You can find it at Walmart or Lowe's or wherever. And this is really just going to help us get a better final coat. So we handled the cup a lot when we were putting the decal on and all that stuff. And so I just really like to put a sealant on before I go into my final layers of epoxy. Totally not necessary. Different strokes for different folks. I know a lot of people don't do it, but I just have gotten into the habit of it, and it really helps me to make sure that I don't have any kind of lifted spots on my decal, and I also get better results in my final coats. So that's why you guys see me doing this in my videos all the time. So I'm going into my final layers of epoxy. This one just took me 2 more coats and we were done. So I put down the sealer, I did 1 coat of epoxy, I let that dry for 4 to 6 hours, and then I went into my second final coat of epoxy and that dried for about 24 hours and we were totally done. So that's it for this tutorial. This is a fun and easy design. I think you could change up the colors and use it for all seasons if you wanted to. Doesn't have to just be a fall design. So let me know what you guys think in the comments. Thank you so much for watching my videos. Thank you so much for supporting my channel. And if you haven't already, make sure you hit subscribe, hit that like button if you enjoyed this video, and we will see you guys real soon. If you love this video, you could check out our last video here. Also be sure to find us on Instagram, Facebook, Pinterest, and of course subscribe for all our new videos that come out every Wednesday and Saturday. Thanks so much for watching. See you soon.